Remember to subscribe so you don't miss out on more awesome content. What's up, guys? I said I was going to do a Logan review, albeit that was a long time ago, but I just saw it on my Cody and I was like, oh, cool. There's actually like a, good stream of it. So I was like, okay, let me watch it, see how it is and everything. So just be aware that this is a spoiler review somewhat. I mean, you can't, I'm not going to do a spoiler-free one, but just because it's hard for me to I couldn't really figure out what to say about it without spoiling anything. So this is going to be the only review, and it is going to be a spoiler review somewhat. So if you haven't seen the movie or you don't really want spoilers, just don't watch this video. So as the title says, yeah, I wasn't really impressed with Logan, to be honest. Like, I mean, it could have been all the people hyping it up forever. It could have been like any number of things, how it just was being praised as the most godlike Wolverine movie ever, which I'll give it that. Yeah, I guess when you look at it from the terms of, if you compare it to the other ones, yeah, it was good because the other ones were just pretty bad. Like the X-Men series and the Wolverine movies just as a whole were generally just not that good. So I guess when you compare it to that, but that's like, you don't compare something bad to something okay. That's stupid. I mean, I wanted this to be great. So, just right off the bat, I want to say that it wasn't bad. It was just okay to me. And it was okay for various reasons, but it wasn't the actors. It wasn't any of that. It wasn't Hugh Jackman. It wasn't Patrick Stewart. They were phenomenal. I just want to get that one right off the bat. The reason for me that it just didn't hold my attention, number one, it really didn't. I felt like until the end of the movie, it just wasn't that really attention grabbing, and it wasn't that, I guess, it didn't keep me emotionally attached to the characters that much. I felt like the whole movie, so basically, Logan's adapting to new life, and anyone who's seen the trailer can kind of get the gist of the movie, is his healing powers are basically, they're not as good as they used to be. I mean, they're kind of just not existent at all. He just kind of has enhanced strength and stamina and stuff like that, but he's just a shadow of what he used to be. And Charles Xavier is suffering basically from like Alzheimer's, or he's suffering from degenerative brain disease, and he's having really bad seizures, and they affect everyone around him to the point where when he loses control, everyone around him is basically like paralyzed, and they are basically slowly dying. So, both Wolverine and Charles Xavier are but a shadow of what they were in the other X-Men films. And like I said, it wasn't them. They were phenomenal in the roles and what they were told to do and how they were told to portray these characters. My problem with this movie was that, it kind of focused on that aspect too much. The whole like, I think first 80% of the movie was basically just X-23 comes in the picture, and Charles wants to take her to Eden, which is this place for safe haven mutants, so that they can be free from Stryker's son's company who's hunting them down, and they were grown in a lab basically from that company, and they're trying to hunt them down because the children escaped, and they obviously want to kill them or bring them back. But the whole first movie was like, the whole first part of the movie was basically just the road trip with Logan and X-23, and it felt like kind of a cat and mouse. The movie clearly wanted to show that Logan was different and that Charles was different. They clearly wanted to show these different aspects of them and get you attached to these characters emotionally. So it's just various basically scenes that they would stop somewhere, and it would be a dialogue, and it would be kind of a little bit more insight into the characters, what happened, and all of this stuff. Like, it kind of just, each scene gave you more insight into the characters and was supposed to be character development from what I assume. But to me, it took like the first scene, the first probably 20 minutes of the movie, I could already see like, exactly what these characters were, what they represented, how different they were, and the ways that they were the same. And that was all it took for me. So for the next hour and like 20 minutes of the movie, they were just beating the same thing into my head repeatedly. Like, I felt like there was no new character development for me after that. I mean, maybe some people were amazed at the different stuff that happened throughout the movie, but I felt like the whole movie was predictable after the first 20 minutes. I literally could guess everything that happened in the movie, and I was guessing everything that happened, and it happened pretty close to what I said right after. There was no surprises, and that kind of messed with me. And that, like I said, that whole movie was character development of characters who clearly were explained in the first 20 minutes. There wasn't really anything. I feel like they didn't develop after that. They still were the same person. And I felt like it was beating a dead horse into someone like, basically they were trying to explain it to someone who wouldn't get it. And I feel like that's not the majority of people who are watching it. I don't really think the majority of people who are watching it really took four or five different scenarios to really understand how Logan was in this universe and how he's changed and like how his emotions are now. I understood that from the beginning, and I would expect most people to. It's just, I don't know. That whole movie was them repeating that. And X-23 was mute for most of the movie. She was mainly kind of an action fill-in, so I can't really say too much on her because she was mute for almost all of the movie, and she was just there for the bomb-ass action scenes that she was amazing for. And those action scenes, yes, the action scenes in Logan were amazing, and it's about time we saw Logan, Wolverine, in his raw form, not just cleaving robots, but raw form. So, I mean, there's that. But yeah, that was my biggest problem with this movie, is that's kind of what it can be summed out to, is that I was just disappointed. It was just an okay movie. I just felt like it was too much of the same shit for pretty much all the movie. Go here, scenario that explains character development. Boom, military shows up, cat and mouse game until the next scene. Boom, character development. Boom, military shows up all of a sudden, action scene. It was that for an hour and 45 minutes of the movie until the last scene. And that is what really got me, is that repetitiveness, and that I just felt like they were trying to explain it to me like I'm slow, like I don't understand. And that really just bugged me, and it couldn't get me attached. And then you had moments like Charles Xavier and the Westchester incident, which was supposed to be a huge gut puncher about what he did, but it spent all of 2 seconds talking about it. And really, the decision to cut that scene out of the movie was not really the best, because it didn't get me emotionally attached, because I didn't see his anguish about it. I mean, he was sad about it for like 2 seconds. Like I said, it was kind of a quick dialogue thing, but it didn't hit as hard as it should have. If you saw his anguish at the time of him doing it, that would have been a lot better. That would have been something that hit you more emotionally. But this 2 second dialogue of it, and he was sad for 2 seconds, but okay. It just wasn't really that emotionally draining to see that. It was like, oh, that's supposed to be a gut puncher? Seriously? And then on top of that, I guess segueing from that, his death. Same thing. His death was kind of really short for being Charles Xavier. I know it's obviously Wolverine's movie, it's Logan's movie, but to be fair, this was Logan's and Professor X's conclusion in the X-Men. This was both their curtain time. So his death was just really, I feel like it was skated over really fast. So there's that. Like I said, that's kind of basically my review of the movie. Is just that it was on a creative aspect, it just felt really repetitive. And until the ending scene, which the ending scene I have no complaints about, by the way, it was actually really good. But until then, the whole movie just felt like cat and mouse repetitiveness and a character development that really never shone through and really wasn't there. And these emotional attachments that you could feel that they were trying to create, but it really didn't create them for me. I don't know. But I mean, this is all my opinion. This is all my review and how I experienced Logan. I would probably give it like a 6 or 7 out of 10. Not anything high like it got, though. It was the best of the X-Men movies, but that's not saying much. So, I don't know. That's my spoiler review of Logan. I tried not to spoil too much. Some stuff, like I said, was unavoidable because it directly impacted my review, such as the Westchester incident and Charles Xavier's death. Those two things kind of impacted my review, so of course I had to include them. But, I tried to leave a lot of spoilers out so that it wasn't too bad for people that haven't seen it yet. But Like I said, I still recommend people see it just because it is their conclusion, and it does have really, really, really good action scenes. It really does. It's really cool seeing Wolverine like you have only seen him in the comics. So that's it. Check out my other videos right here on the screen, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.